Hello, everyone. Welcome to the next episode of 10 Tips Towards Success with Sharique. And today we have Marci from USA. Welcome. Let's welcome Marci to the show. Hello, Marci.
Hi, thank you so much for having me as your guest. I'm excited for us to have a conversation today.
Yeah, we are also excited because Marci is a management executive in USA and she is bringing us 10 tips for being authentic and to be successful in life. I will ask Marci to briefly introduce herself.
Well, you started by telling everyone I was a management consultant. So that's really what I consider my day job. So I'm a management consultant by day, working with large organizations to help them identify goals and purpose, restructure their organization, and working with top level executives to show up as leaders in a stronger way. And then my night job is a transformational coach. So working with
Mhm.
people one on one to help them define their purpose, connect to that, improve their relationships with others, have more authentic conversations, and to focus on gratitude. So that work all ties together day and night. And you can tell
Perfect.
that the theme throughout that is really my passion of working with people.
Excellent. So we are really excited to hear about the 10 tips that you have brought for us to be successful by being authentic. Let's start.
Okay, and I am going to have to look at notes. I wrote all of these things this morning. I
Sure.
feel really passionate about all of them. So, number one is to start with self awareness, to really listen to yourself when you think about being authentic, authentic to yourself. And I
Mhm.
listen to how I say things. And do I say I get to do things, I want to do things, or do I say I should do things?
Okay.
And when I use the word should, that means that somebody's probably influenced me and I need to question my motives and if I'm being authentic to myself. So that's an easy
Mhm.
tip. Listen if you're
Yeah.
saying I should or I get to or I can.
Very nice.
Tip number two is to be curious. So before making judgments or thinking that you have all the answers, ask some questions. Ask somebody, help me understand, or tell me how you came to that conclusion. Being curious increases our knowledge and it gives people an opportunity to talk, and you get to focus on them for a little bit longer.
Nice.
Tip number three ties into that, and that is to listen to hear. So
Mhm.
often we listen to people in a way that we're preparing our responses, and we're not really hearing what people are saying. But if we listen purely to hear the words that somebody is saying, we really stay in the moment and we stay focused and connected with them.
Nice. Mhm.
Number four, before jumping to an assumption, ask yourself, is this real? Let's say you get that text message or email from your boss and they say, I want to talk to you next week. And you start to panic. Ask yourself, is this real? What do I know about that? Is what I know true? More often than not, if you jump to an assumption, it's purely your opinion and you don't have enough facts. And you can use that tool to calm yourself down so that you show up in a more authentic and kind way.
Very useful tip, I must say.
This leads to tip number five.
Mhm.
Kindness and compassion should always be the forefront of our minds.
Mhm.
Kindness and compassion costs us nothing, but it is a
True.
huge gift to give others when we are kind, compassionate, and patient. And again, it creates an opportunity to connect. And then tip number six is to give
Mhm.
yourself that same kindness and grace you would give others. We are
Mhm.
often so hard on ourselves and we judge ourselves so harshly that it shuts us down. So just think about how kind you want to be to your family and your friends and be that kind to yourself and forgiving too.
True. True.
Tip number seven, practice gratitude. We can
Mhm.
find gratitude in anything that we do, and it completely changes the lens of our day. So if you
Mhm.
get up in the morning, find one thing to be grateful for. You have a roof over your head, you have something to eat, you have a loved one. In the darkest moments, if we find gratitude, it releases chemicals in our brains that make us have a better day.
True. Very nice.
Step Tip number eight is allow yourself to be vulnerable. We as humans are wired for fight, flight, or freeze, and it keeps us from being vulnerable. But when you don't allow yourself to be vulnerable, people don't really get to know you. So that little bit of vulnerability coupled with some kindness and some curiosity will create opportunities to show your authentic self, and to be a person that people feel like they know and that they can trust.
Yes.
Number 9, if you are in a place of worry, so we'll go back to that stress and making assumptions, ask yourself, how important would this particular situation be a week from now, a month from now, or a year from now? And
Mm.
likely you can use that as a tool to deprioritize your stress in that moment. Things that we focus on in the moment and that we think are a huge deal, if you ask yourself, even a week from now, will I care? I bet most of the time you'll probably say no. So why are you giving that your energy and letting it take power over you?
Mm.
And then step number 10, my final thing, is a simple
Mm.
one. Be
Okay.
bold, be brave, and be authentically you.
Very nice tips, actually. When I analyze it briefly, it looks like that it's about taking a pause and analyzing the situation instead of just panicking very quickly. And very nice tips, especially these days. So, Marci, tell us briefly about. So, these tips are also authentic, coming from your experience. Tell us about your experience so that the viewers can really connect to you.
My experience, a lot of it comes actually from personal failure. And I'll make myself vulnerable here. Early in my career, I was a rising star. I'd been promoted fast. I'd been handed a team of people to manage. And I thought that I knew the answers, or I thought that I could fake it till I made it. And I didn't ask for help. And I wasn't curious to find out what my people needed. And
Mhm.
to make a long story short, I was just a terrible manager. People went out on stress leave. They did not like me. Um, but the management of the company that I worked for thought that I was doing a great job. And I continued to get promoted until I found myself in a position where my manager was micromanaging me and treating me how I'd been treating other people. And it was
Mhm.
really at that moment where I realized how horrible my behavior had been, what a complete
Mhm.
failure I was to myself as a human because I wasn't being authentic to myself. And I stepped out of the corporate world and I took a break and I took that time doing a completely different job to really
Mhm.
understand how I was wired and why I was reacting the way that I was. And you do a lot of self-reflection that I think a lot of people have done during COVID while they've been at home.
True. True.
And really thinking about what feels right to me, what feels authentic, what do I do to
Mhm.
protect myself from making a mistake or to protect myself from somebody criticizing me. But when you do that, you shut off the world from really knowing who you are. You shut yourself off from getting help. How can you have a mentor if you can't be honest with them about your own shortcomings? And so it
Mhm.
was through all of that that I realized that there's such a need for us to tell our stories of failure and rising above it. And how
True.
do you come out of that and make yourself stronger? And I'm okay to say that I failed, and I recognize that. And I, as I coach people and I teach classes about this, I talk about just how terrible I was, and I could not see it at the time. And I think that there were signs, and people were telling me. And my dear husband looks back on it and talks about just how unbearable I was. And our children lived through it, and our children are grown
Mhm.
now and learned a lot from my mistakes too. And so I'm really
Mhm.
here to share those mistakes with others so that they can learn to take that pause and to really think about what is important to me now,
Mhm.
what will be
Yes.
important to me in a month, and really in a year from now, what do I want people to remember about how I showed up? And that's a really interesting one that makes myself still today. I will stop and go, am I showing up as my best self? If this
That's
is
really nice, actually. Because you're trying to share your experiences instead of hiding it. So you want other people to not to make those mistakes, and then they will evolve and be better professionals, better persons in life. It's really nice. Thank you very much for the nice tips.
Thank you. And I just think if we all just stopped and asked ourselves if this was the last interaction I had with anyone, the person in the grocery store line, the person that drives the bus, your coworker, if this was the last experience they ever had with me, how would I feel about that? And that makes us be a little kinder and more compassionate to other people.
That's really nice actually, because I was reading also a concept about finite leadership and infinite leadership, and it said that okay, some people think that we need to, we will not help others because we need to go ahead. This is one kind of a thing, but the way you explained it, it's like okay, we need to help each other because anyways it's the end, and we have to evolve together. As a community, as humanity, we have to evolve together. That's a beautiful way you are explaining it.
Thank you. I think as leaders, if we are all doing our jobs well, we should be thinking about how do we get the people that we are coaching and we're mentoring and we're leading, how do we get them to find their greatest potential? If
True.
someday the people that I am working with become the next CEOs, start new organizations, invent amazing things, then I've done my job well. It isn't about me, it's about we and how do we as a community continue to move
Very nice. Very
forward.
nice. It's about we. What a wonderful thing. So I think by the we end this show at this beautiful note that it's about we, not about me. Thank you very much, Marci, for your time, and it was a pleasure to have you on our show. And I'm sure our viewers must have learned something new from these 10 tips and also the follow-up discussion that we had. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed our time together.
True. I also really enjoyed. Thank you very much to all our viewers also that keep supporting us. And also you can follow Marci on LinkedIn also. I will share the link in the description. Till next episode, thank you very much and goodbye everyone. Bye bye.